test with Mr. Gupta's making things happen. After about a week of meditation in Bhutan, of course, I want to thank Her Majesty, the Queen, who made it happen. We went to Tiger's Nest where Guru Padma Sambhava meditated for I don't know how many years. You could really feel the energy. Then on top of that, she had a few of her staff, her military staff, took me to several sites. Two of them were caves where Guru Padma Sambhava meditated, and both of them are only accessible, I think, through bumpy roads, and you have to climb through little stuff. But you sit there, the energy is massive. So then today, His Holiness the Dalai Lama came to the hotel, and he made it happen. So I was able to get a blessing, and so I'm buzzing, buzzing with energy. What would you like to talk about? Well, why wouldn't we talk about the importance of spreading pranic healing? You see, a lot of people, the mistake they make is they think, oh, pranic healing is another healing technique. That's a big mistake. Because if a person thinks that way, then they start comparing technique. Oh, pranic healing, Reiki, this technique, that technique. You're missing the point. The whole idea with pranic healing is, if you remember, Master Cho said it's a bridge to spirituality. The question is, why is it called a bridge? If you tell people to meditate, do spiritual practice, they go, oh, I have my own technique. But once you get them into pranic healing, in order to do pranic healing, you have to understand the energy system. You need to understand the chakras. You need to understand energy. Otherwise, when a person says, oh, I'm spiritual, they just say, oh, I'm spiritual because I've read a lot of spiritual books. A big deal. A lot of people read books. Doesn't make you spiritual. Right? And they say, oh, I've studied, I can remember many sutras. I can remember many holy books. It just simply means you have good memory. Make sense? But in pranic healing, we say, okay, you have the different virtues. If you remember the virtues, first one, loving kindness and non-injury, and then generosity, non-stealing, honesty, non-lying, constancy, aim and effort, non-laziness, last one, moderation and non-excessiveness. So in addition to the healing, the virtues are instilled within us. And another thing to remember is something like this. You see, if you try to tell people to be spiritual, everybody says, I have my own way of doing it already. So you have to approach them in a level they can understand. So if somebody has back pain, somebody has headache, somebody has this and that, within you, you have the tools to help alleviate that problem, make them feel better. But in the process of doing that, you have to explain what you're doing. Otherwise, you're waving your hand in the air like a crazy person, right? And they say, oh, what are you doing? Well, there's this energy that flows through your body. Okay. And what are you doing? Well, within your body, there's energy of prana flowing. Well, how does it go in? Or this thing called chakras. Well, the chakras is where it absorbs energy, and each of the chakras have their own properties, their own functions. For example, one of the meditations we do is called meditation twin hearts. Okay, it activates the heart, in the human love, activates the crown, the divine love, and when that happens, you experience peace and love and bliss for all beings. They go, oh, okay. They don't realize that you're already guiding them from something like a physical ailment before you know you talk about a spiritual topic. Then they start saying, okay. I like that meditation to have more peace. You see, not every person that they claim to be spiritual has inner peace. You know that? I've met people who say, oh, I read this many sutras, I go to temple, I go to church. You look at their life, it's a mess. Because they know the external, they don't know the internal. You understand? In pranic healing, we have the opportunity to share with people, look, in addition to the rituals that you do, the pujas, which are good, in addition, you learn about inner transformation. Because there are people that are good with rituals, but inside they're rotting. You understand? But when you do meditation, twin hearts, as you bless the earth, as the energy flows through you, your chakras are being cleansed. As your heart gets bigger and bigger, you start having more compassion towards people. So there's an inner transformation that happens without them knowing. I'll give you an example. We have one student in the United States many years ago. This guy, he said he has so much inner anger growing up, and he didn't know how to channel and get rid of it. So when he was like, 10, 11 years old, he decided to learn martial arts, so hopefully get that aggression out. So it kind of worked. And when it got to be about 17, 18, he was deciding what to do as a profession. The first thing he thought of was become a policeman. Then he thought about bad idea, right? So he decided to join the military. Not just any military. In the U.S., you heard of the Navy SEALs, which is the toughest part. You know, they have to swim through ice cold water for 2 hours, 2, 3 days of sleep deprivation, a lot of things to really test what you can do. Anyway, the guy's only about this tall, and you have to go to the test to pass. There's like 400 applicants. They have to go through all these tests. Out of those 400, less than 20 survived. Not they didn't die, but passed. So he was one of them. There's guys that are big, muscular. They couldn't handle it. So this guy's tough. Anyway, to make a long story short, when he came back to his house, when he went back, sorry, changing altitude. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So when he came back, he drove his girlfriend home. Okay, and he parked the car. And I guess being long in the military, somebody kind of decided they owned the road, so they came by to his window, knocked on it, and started cursing him out. Now, in the past, with so much anger, that guy would have been beaten up by him already. So what he did, he moved his car. The guy followed him. When he opened the window, he took a bottle cap, threw it at his face. Now, again, in the past, whoever does that would have been bloody already. You know what he did? He told me, he said, I told him, your karma will take care of you. He moved his car again. Okay? So when his girlfriend went to the house, he was telling me, he said, I got to thinking, those meditations must work. Because in the past, I wouldn't even think, I would have beat the guy up. But in this case, there was actually a change within me. You see, most people don't understand what Master Cho said. You change the energy, you change the people. You change enough people, you change a place. Who got that? Come on, I need to know if you got it. Otherwise, yeah? So what you're doing with panicking, you're dealing with the very essence of the universe, which is energy. So don't just think you're just waving your hands at someone. Although you're trying to make them feel better, there are changes in the way they think, the way they feel, the way they perceive reality. Because most people are attached to material things. True or not true? If you think about it, most people spend 80–90% of their attention on things that will disappear and fade away. Only when they have a crisis in their life, only if they have somebody die on them or somebody who's extremely sick, then they start to what? Go for understanding and trying to grasp the spiritual side of life. True or not true? Because they define themselves with things that they can touch. Well, guess what you're doing? When you teach pranic healing, when you let them experience pranic healing, you're already giving them that bridge to the spiritual world or the invisible world. And it is in that invisible world that changes character. Because character is not something tangible. Character is something we develop as we go through life, as we experience difficult times, as we experience good times, as we start having deep spiritual experiences. None of that is material. So if you have people learn about pranic healing, you have them experience, even though they walked in initially, I just want to learn how to heal this pain and that pain. They start going, really? You mean it can also help my relationship? Yeah. Oh, it can really help my finances too with Kriya Shakti? Yeah. So at some point they start to realize, wait, energy permeates the universe and it could actually affect different parts of my life. So that's why we tell our instructors, what you call trainers, when you're teaching, do not teach pranic healing just as a healing technique. Otherwise, then you're competing with every guy who says, I'm a master of this and master of that. True or not true? But if you let them know, look, energy affects every part of your life. In basic pranic healing, you're taught the foundation of how to use energy. But within that, you're taught meditation, twin hearts. You're taught part of the virtues. Then you go to advanced pranic healing, you learn about colors. You go, colors? You see, being in a Chinese body, we learn about martial arts, right? So this is called Qigong. The problem is people don't realize Qigong doesn't belong only to Chinese people. But in Qigong, in order to be taught how to project energy, traditionally, you have to be with the master at least 5 years. Everything else is inside. They teach you, do this, do that. What are you doing? Don't ask questions. And yet in pranic healing, Master Cho teaches you how to project color. And I remember one time, I went to dinner when Master Cho first taught advanced pranic healing in Philippines. There's this Qigong master who went to dinner with us, really nice guy. And he said, Master Cho, do not teach people about color. That is secret. Okay? And I remember sitting next to Master Cho. Master Cho, yes, yes. I know what he was doing. I just kept quiet. And he goes, yes. And then the guy had to leave early. And then Master Cho said, just ignore him. He said, just ignore him, because if you keep everything secret, after the teacher leaves the body, the secrets leave with them. True? And he goes like this. Now, when he said yes, it's like the traditional Japanese yes. You know what a Japanese yes is? So a lot of Chinese people, a lot of Americans went to Japan many years ago to do business with a Japanese businessman. And then when they finished talking, and the Americans would say, okay, do we have a deal? And the Japanese says, hi. Okay, he kept doing it. So when they went back to the U.S., they told their companies, oh, we got this billion-dollar deal. When it's time to sign, the Japanese won't sign. And they said, you said yes. But in Japanese, when he said hi or yes means, yes, I heard you. He was being kind. So that's why, if you remember, some of you who've attended Master Cho's class, when somebody asks a question, he goes, yes, yes, very interesting. It doesn't mean the answer is yes. It's just, yes, it's interesting. So anyway, here's my point. So what you're learning in advanced pranic healing, you learn how to project color, right? Then comes pranic psychotherapy. I don't know if you notice, that concept blows people's mind. How could you, somebody who has anger, somebody going like this on some chakra, suddenly they feel, oh, I'm not angry anymore. Or someone has an addiction or a phobia, and you just sit there, somebody moves their hand about you, go, oh, how come I don't feel it anymore? You do that in class, but to the general public, that's miraculous. For example, 2 weeks ago, we had a class on pranic psychotherapy. And there's this lady who's afraid of needles. So what we always do in pranic psychotherapy is, how do you know if it works if you don't test it? Right? So this lady, I had her stand in the front, and there's a doctor in the room with a needle, you know, like a syringe needle. She went like this. This lady started crying from 20 feet away. Okay? So we use her as a demonstration from pranic psychotherapy. Anyway, I think most of you took it already. Use electric violet, clean out ajna, front, back, solar plexus, throat, crown. That's where the fear entities are stored. Fear elementals or fear thought forms are stored. We pulled it out after 15 minutes. I said, doctor, stand up. So the doctor took it like this. I said, how do you feel? She goes, I'm okay. The doctor went over there. She held the needle, this lady, started playing with it, and kept it. So a person who took the class, the first time he has attended other events with other teachers, he goes, that is amazing. How could that be possible? I said, we do that every class. And he's like, that's amazing. It took 12 minutes. I didn't realize he was calculating 12 minutes. But if you remember, if you practice Arhatic Yoga, if you have enough divine energy coming down, your electric violet is so strong, right? You go in, you pull it out. Of course, I super meditate before I teach. Make sure I have enough energy. I'm no dummy. You get the point? So what is the takeaway? The condition of your chakras affect your behavior affect your chakras. Isn't it? Now, this concept alone blows people's mind. How could you work on something that's not material and actually change the way they think and the way they feel? Now, you know the most interesting part of all of this? There are a lot of miraculous healers out there. The question is, can they teach you? A lot of them produce miracles, but they don't know how they do it. They say, the spirit is guiding me. Okay, that's good. I agree. The question is, how do you transfer the skill? You can't. Now, lucky us, what Grandmaster Cho did is, with the help of very advanced clairvoyance, in addition to the teachings from his guru, what did he do? With the help of clairvoyance, they observed a lot of these natural-born healers. And they start noticing, every time there's an infection, green energy comes out of their hand. Every time the body needs to be strengthened, red energy comes out of the healer's hand. You ask the healer, they have no clue. You see, it's something like this. Just because they don't know does not mean there's no process. If you know the process and duplicate the process, you can duplicate the miracle. True or not true? Do not take pranic healing for granted. He sacrificed time, his body, his family, all that so we can have something you follow like a recipe. You know, when I first started in pranic healing, I doubted the whole thing. You know that? My wife fell from 14 feet, broke her hip. The doctor said it'll take 3.5 months to walk. I tried everything. I said, let me try this pranic healing thing. So I took the class, basic, started doing healing on her. In 2 weeks, she was walking. I was doubting it the whole time. See, I'm an engineer. I go, how could my hands waving like this without touching make somebody better? But luckily, she was sensitive. So every time I energize, she goes, oh, okay, it's getting heavy. Really? Okay. For 4 years, I didn't feel anything. I was already a pranic healing instructor. Everybody could feel energy except the guy teaching the class. So people ask, why did you continue? See, I was an engineer by trade. An engineer has learned a certain process. You do the process to produce a result. Yes? Well, I might not feel anything, but when I observe what Master Cho did and what he did with pranic healing, it makes sense. Everything has a sequence. You follow the sequence. If the conditions are present, you have yourself a result. So guess how I did it in pranic healing? I memorized the book. You show up for healing. I don't bother scanning because I can't feel anything. They say, oh, you arthritis. Okay, arthritis. These are the chakras. These are the colors. I didn't bother scanning. I just did the healing. And then I figured, even if I put too much energy, at least the body has energy to do something. Isn't it? And they start improving. And from there, Master Cho taught Arhatic Yoga. Guess what happened? The same process, there is also a process. If you understand the process and you can specifically share that process with someone and they practice it, they can be enlightened. Who understood what I'm talking about? If you don't raise your hand, that means you're sleeping. You get my point? So, another thing. You know what? The why is very, very important. A lot of the major teachers these days in business say if you want to be successful, you have to first know why you do it. You do it because it's changed your life. You want to do it because you want to share so other people's life will be transformed. If you just do it mechanically, you do it for money, you do it for this, I guarantee you won't last. The reason I teach with such passion, because it's changed my life. I've seen people like you change people's lives. That's why when my body doesn't feel like taking another plane ride, and a lot of times my body wakes up, I don't even know where I'm at. You know, the plane is my second home. You know how I do it? Because it changed my life, and I figured if it could change mine, it should change everybody's. You know, American Airlines alone, I've flown over 5 million miles. You know how many times around the earth that is? Yeah. To go to Bhutan, it's a 24-hour travel, this way and back. When I teach, I travel, and then at least you get to be served in business class. And yet, you're doing work that causes a permanent transformation in people's souls. Do you understand what I just said? So, if you think pranic healing is just another healing technique and you're comparing this and that, it's just like going out to a supermarket, you're just shopping. Useless. You have to understand why. It's a very simple technique that people can learn. It's a simple technique that will help them physically, emotionally, and if they're interested, which I don't know why they wouldn't, in addition to that, they go, you know, I want to experience inner peace and stillness, and I want to also spiritually evolve. If you don't believe it in your heart, it comes across. If you just do it like, yeah, pranic healing is blah, 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 like this, come to my class so I make money, forget it. Won't work. Because people who are drawn to it are sensitive. True or not true? They're sensitive. They can sense if you're speaking from your heart, if you're speaking from your soul. If you just, okay, we're not in America, so I won't use bad words. If you're BSing, as they say, people know. Especially if they've done meditation and healing, they can sense if you're not sincere. True or not true? But if you speak with passion, Pranic changed my life. It did this, it did that. It can do this thing for you. Even though they don't know what the heck you're talking about, just by enthusiasm, they'll take the class. Haven't you notice there's some people who are so convincing when you finally go with them, you go, what did I just agree on? Because there's a saying, you buy the salesperson before you buy the product. True or not true? When you trust a person, it's a referral, this person, you go, this person has credibility, his life changed, and if it change work for him, I don't know, completely understand it, but it sounds good. So if you have the conviction in your heart and it comes across, that's how you spread teachings. Look, there are people out there that are so enthusiastic, their product is not even as good. True or not true? Yet, what you have in front of you, simple, easy to use, people can learn. You just have to have the heart that people can feel it, so they'll change people's lives. So a lot of it starts with you. It starts with what goes on in your head and what goes on in your heart. If you really want to change people's lives, you have to have the conviction that it has changed your life. Now, the question is, why hasn't it changed your life? Because you don't practice. Taking a class does not make you a good healer. Taking a class does not make you a saint. It is the consistent practice that makes the changes that gives you the results. That's why people call me, sometimes many years ago when I'm still answering the phone, people say, oh, when I take that class, what will I get out of it? Nothing. You will get what you put in. You will get the techniques, but if you don't practice, it does not make you a healer. If you take a hatha yoga and you don't do the meditation, all you get is a certificate on the wall that says you took it. And then I remember one time my teacher was saying, in India, there are yogis that are enlightened. They don't have as many techniques as you do. They have one mantra, they have one technique, they've been practicing for the last 30 years, they're enlightened. We're so spoiled. The ones who took our Hatha Gyan, meditation to in the heart, our Hatha Gyan, meditation, the blue pearl, Kundalini meditation, blue triangle, you've techniqued out. And yet you're still looking for the more advanced technique. Hello, are you practicing what you learned? No. I should be more loving, sorry. No, the way I learned from the teacher before is to always shoot straight. If you sugarcoat it, the students don't learn anything because they start giving themselves excuses because, well, he wasn't that hard, so maybe I can make excuses. Nope. One of the ways Master Cho always taught is straight through. This is the problem, this is how you fix it. And in spiritual practice, I wish there's a shortcut. The only shortcut is work harder. Yeah, give yourself a schedule. Without a schedule, guaranteed nothing gets done. For example, how many of you notice that you meet someone in the street you haven't met for a long time? Hey, let's do lunch. If you don't get their phone number, nothing happens. True or not true? The best laid out plans will never happen without a deadline. If you don't give yourself a schedule when you're going to meditate, when you're going to tithe, when you're going to do healing, when you're going to do this, without a timeline, all your great ideas are useless. Honesty, who knows what I'm talking about? You plan everything out, everything's planned out. Sometimes the planning is because you're scared to take action. True or not true? Because let me make sure I get all the details. There's a lot of people there who are not that smart. They're very successful. You know why? They jump. And you are super smart. You want everything. You didn't realize subconsciously you're planning everything out over and rechecking and checking because you're afraid to what? To commit and go to the next step. So the key is the teacher gave you the schedule. You look at the schedule. You say, okay, every day, 3 times a week or whatever, I'm going to meditate. This is what I'm going to do. You journal it. If you do it that way, it's just like somebody who goes to the gym. You don't go to the gym once and expect suddenly you have muscles to last you the rest of your life. Isn't it? You build spiritual muscles the same way you do a schedule and you force yourself to follow it. There are a lot of people who are successful. They're not that intelligent. They might not be gifted. They might be talented. But you know what they have? Constancy of aim and effort. And lucky you, lucky us, the roadmap is already given. People always look for the more advanced technique. If if there's something I can leave with you, it's something like this. Why did the teacher sacrifice time, his body, his family, all that to write books, to come up with the classes so that all that hard work you and I can benefit for generations to come. The only thing that's lacking is what? As Maggie said, just do it. Stop thinking about it, planning everything. Take the first step. And here's another thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people, you let other people define your spiritual practice. You allow people to control your spiritual practice. Who knows what I'm talking about? It's not their spiritual development, it's yours. You need to set aside the time. If they don't want you to set aside the time, who cares? It's not their spiritual practice, it's yours. It's your spiritual development, not theirs. They're going to go, come on, let's go party. Okay, it's good to party now and then. But you say, wait. I'm scheduled to be in the center to meditate today. You sacrifice that time, you do your practice. You might miss out on a few things, but let's look at karma. You do your meditation karmically, you generate good karma, you bless. The effect of do that meditation, you have more inner peace and better control, yes? In their case, the karma is they go out, they party, the karmic effect is a headache and a hangover. Who got the better end of the deal? Am I making sense? Now, I'm talking too much. What time am I supposed to finish? I asked Mr. Gupta what am I supposed to talk about. He never told me. Okay. Here's another thing you might want to consider. Keep your eyes on the teacher. What did I say? Keep your eyes on the teacher. Metaphorically, it means keep your eyes on the teachings. Otherwise, drama and politics rise up. True or not true? The problem, it's not just here, it's everywhere. Christianity has it, in Islam has it, Buddhism has it. You think these monks, you think there's no politics? You gotta be kidding. I talked to some monks in the monastery, they have their politics. You think these nuns and priests, no politics? I talked to Master Noni, goes, you have no idea what goes on in there. And then I remember Master just said, as long as you have more than 2-3 people, you're gonna have politics. And you know what politics is? They took their eyes off the teacher and the teachings. Then they become what? Am I important? Am I one of the trustees? Am I this? Am I that? Instead of saying, what's good for the teacher? What's good for the teachings? What will transform people's lives? Then they become drama driven. They come to the center so that they're present. Are they doing anything? No. You get my point? Focus on the teacher and the teachings. Otherwise, instead of meditating, you're looking for positions. You're looking for positions of importance. I should stop, huh? You might not like me anymore after I finish. Because I've seen this before. When I first started in Pranic Healing, 1988, this will be my 30th year. Imagine. Wow, 30 years. 30 years. Anyway, here's my point. I remember when I first started in Pranic Healing 30 years ago. Remember, I'm not sensitive. I'm an engineer by trade. I'm not a devotee. So I see people go, Master, they do the very traditional touch his feet and all this stuff. I go, I don't do that stuff. The interesting part? 5-10 years later, those guys are gone. I'm still around. The people who knew the teachings and practice it, they're around. Because for them, they realize the teacher and the teachings give you good teachings. All you have to practice, ignore the politics. Those people who are doing all this stuff, they're doing it because people are watching. Who knows what I'm talking about? People are watching me, so I have to look like I'm really devoted. They kiss their feet, they do all this stuff. Master Choy goes, come on, get up, don't do this. The people who did those, but the teachings are not in their heart, they don't practice, they're gone. You know why? They look for the next sensational thing that comes around. They wait for the next guru that comes around that supposedly produce miracle, but they don't have essence in them. You get my point? But if you're practicing the teachings, you don't need to be looking for something sensational because you see the transformation in you. So when all is said and done, if you forget everything else I said earlier, you remember the three things Master said before he left the body. Practice diligently. Purify yourself. Spread the teachings. Who remembers that? Within those three encompasses your entire practice. Number one, practice diligently. If you truly understand the teachings and its importance, you will practice diligently. Right? Now, as you practice diligently, with more energy comes in, what happens? Old stuff comes out. It's called the principle of displacement. Right? The more you meditate, the more junk comes out. I mean, have you noticed? You're meditating, you're so peaceful, so loving, and then you find yourself when you go home, you become impatient. You go, what the heck? I'm not impatient before. Now I'm impatient. What happened? You remember? If you took Arhatic, it says, when your chakras get bigger, you process information faster. Then you notice people who do not meditate, their chakras are smaller, they're slow. So it teaches you to practice patience. What else? With more stuff coming in, as the chakras bloom, the seeds come to the surface. True or not true? Okay. So because of these things, and you have so many chakras with so many different qualities, good and bad, within the chakra, that's why as we keep practicing diligently, we have to continue purifying. Now, does that mean it's going to be easy? No. I have my share of screw-ups. I have my share of mistakes, paid for it, extreme pain. But you know the interesting part? Something nice about it comes out. Because when you experience difficulty and pain in your life, it inevitably causes you to have more compassion towards others. You become less judgmental. Who's been there? Because you go, oh, I've been there, man. That is tough. But before that, oh, that's easy. Get over it. Then when you've been there, you go, yeah, now I know. When you're in emotional pain, it's not that easy to get out of it. So what happens? Then you have more compassion to others. Then you start using more pranic healing techniques, pranic psychotherapy techniques to help them. That's why sometimes when you have a perfect life, you don't realize what are the things other people go through. Now, so if you're smart, you go practice diligently. When things come up, you purify yourself. When you see the transformation in your life and you see the transformation in the people who have actually used the teachings, you cannot help but go, man, why doesn't everybody know this? It's just like when somebody teach you, by the way, if you do this technique, suddenly you lose 20 pounds, what would you do? You start looking for people to tell to, right? If you found a cure for something that people have been having problems with, what do? Because you're a good person. You can help but tell people, isn't it? Okay, let's not make it so spiritual. You found out there's a 50% off sale. What do? You tell every person that you know. What more of the benefits that you've gotten from pranic healing that has transformed every part of your life? What are you going to do? Sit on it? It's just like you found a cure for cancer. You close the door, lock yourself in the room because it's so precious. Would you do that? No. So for you to benefit from the teachings and not share, okay, I'm not giving you a guilt trip, huh? You're actually being selfish. Do you realize that? If your life has changed, yet you sit on your ass and you don't do anything, that means you are being selfish. Because if my life is changed, it's just right that other people's lives should change. Unless you just like seeing people suffer. Oops, I hit a nerve, huh? If you truly believe something is precious in your life and it's accessible, if you're truly developing spiritually, you cannot help but tell people. Practice the teachings, practice diligently, purify yourself. What's the last one? Spread the teachings. Amazing. A few months before he left the body, he just gave those three instructions. He didn't give you the 20,000 different guidelines. Within those three encompasses everything. That's it. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something. Otherwise, say. I was supposed to just say hello. Yes. Questions? There's questions? You expect me to answer? Okay. You can ask question. Mr. Gupta will answer. No, I'm kidding. Okay, I will try. Go. Okay, okay. Thank you. I know not all of you have taken the classes, so I'll just, in order to answer the question, well, there's two ways. Either I don't answer the question, or I have to give you a crash course on what he's talking about. Make up your mind. What do you want? Okay, let's make it simple. If your computer does not have anything to save with, and you're not connected to a network or a cloud, would you be able to get anything done? You won't, would you? Because every time you get on the computer, whatever you do, as soon as you turn it off, disappears. So that means you have to do it again. Okay. So in order for the soul to evolve, you need to be able to record all these experiences, good and bad, so that you can learn from it and move forward. That's what you call evolution. So instead of a hard drive, if you look at Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul, which is in the book, it's also in Omani Padme Hum book, you have three recorders. One records everything we do physically, which is in the heart. We have one that records everything we do emotionally, feel emotion, which is in the soul plexus, the emotional permanent seed, and every thought that we ever had, which is in the center of your head. These three seeds, or three data recorders, if you will, is what holds the data of our everyday life. So everything we do physically, good or bad, is recorded in the heart physical permanent seed. Every feeling, happiness, joy, anger, hatred, whatever, is recorded in the emotional seed. And then every thought you have is in the center of the head. Now, to put it all together is something like this. Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, Message was talking about the story where there's this clairvoyant in the Philippines. He can tell you exactly the day your body's going to die. How would you like to have that gift? Hey, if you own a life insurance company, you know who to decline. You know who to sign up. You again live for one. Come on, let's sign you up. You're gonna die. Forget it. I'm kidding. All right. Anyway, so this clairvoyant told the person, he says, "I see you dead in 30 days. You better go to your whatever hometown and make sure you arrange everything for your family members." So this person, knowing the track record of a clairvoyant, followed what the psychic did. In 30 days, the guy is still alive. When they met, the clairvoyant was shocked and said, "Hey, you're supposed to be dead." When they sat down and talked about it, guess what they found out? Two things. Number one, when he was traveling to his hometown in the middle of nowhere, there was a car accident that happened before him. He knew that if he didn't do anything, either call ambulance or brought the guy to the hospital, the guy would die. So he did it. The clairvoyant said, when you did that, you moved your death date. Okay? Then the second part was, thinking he's going to be dead in 30 days, he said, well, after he took care of his family, he has all this extra furniture, extra this, extra that. He gave it all to the poor. The clairvoyant said, when you did that, you move your death date again. You see, the physical permanent seed contains your exact departure date. But that departure date is movable. Now, since we're in India, let me share something with you. And correct me if I'm wrong. I heard this from somebody from here. He was telling me, he said, my mom would always say, when the kids are misbehaving, must be my karma to have you as children. Is that true? He says, but I never heard mom say, oh, you are such good kids, must be my good karma. People don't say that, do they? Exactly the point. You see, that's why Master Cho wrote in the book, karma is not fatalistic. Unfortunately, I think a lot of you here in India, at least based on what he said, look at it as something, it's something's bad, must be my karma. Why don't you say, I have such a good life, I have such a great family, I have money, must be my good karma. It goes both ways. Now, in studying the physical, emotion, permanent seeds, you're forced to understand how karma works. It's just like you come in with a certain number of karmic credits. Like karmic credits. So every time you mess up, it disappears. Every time you do good, you help people, so you add into it. And every decision that you make, you're doing almost like a balance sheet, like check profit and loss statement. Now, the difference is ordinary people are not aware of this concept. That's why they need religion. Religion gives you a structure that has been put together by a founder that includes these details. So hopefully, if people follow the religion properly and not distort it, they will be generating more good karma than bad karma. Make sense? Now, you'll notice in pranic healing, we have people from all religions because he cuts across all of it. That's why religion divides, spirituality unites. So, Messenger, I remember he was talking about, he said, when you look at all the similarities in all religion, you see the truth. Who got that? Come on. Look like you're spacing out. Yeah? So, with karma, if you know that something is not working in your life, you don't have to accept it. Traditionally, when you talk about karma, because, oh, it's my karma, I'm screwed, that's that. And yet you realize, once you learn pranic healing, what does Messenger say? The law of karma is a spiritual technology to create and navigate your future. In other words, if the law of karma simply says, whatever you plant, you harvest, right? Well, common sense tells you, if you don't want something, don't plant it. So that's right there, you're already starting to create part of your future. Now, if it's going in a negative direction, and you don't want to do something, you don't want it to go in that direction, it's as simple as this. See. Okay, hold on, huh? This is filtered water, right? Okay, just be sure. I've heard horror stories, that's why I want to be sure. Okay, watch. What law did I demonstrate? Come on, you guys, don't think too hard. What law did I demonstrate? Law of gravity. So law of gravity and law of motion says this will hit the ground if nothing is done to interrupt it. Yes? So if I don't want to hit the ground, I have to apply equal and opposing force to change its direction. Karma works the same way. If negative karma is supposed to manifest, you don't do something. You sit in your body and say, okay, nothing else I can do. Well, yeah, you're right. But if something's not good happening, you go, I do not accept it. I'm going to do something about it. Let me generate good karma to neutralize it. You are then changing its course. By not doing anything, you are doing something. Do you realize that? Think about it. If a karmic situation is supposed to happen, because it was predicted by some psychic or clairvoyant, whatever, if you sit on your butt and just take it, then you're right, it happened. But if you say, I don't accept it, I'm going to do something about it, you might be surprised. You've seen this before. If this line is good, don't do anything, it's going to continue like this. A slight change will make a difference. If you're on a plane, a few degrees that the compass, is off, will take the plane off course significantly. True or not true? The same way with the law of karma. So whatever is in those seeds, you're not stuck with it unless you give up. Well, if you give up, why bother listening? Right? If you already gave up, why bother going to class? Why bother learning anything? You're screwed. You don't say that in India, sorry. You're doomed. You get my point? So the pricelessness of spiritual teachings is it is empowering. It is what? It empowers you to say, look, this I will accept, this I will not accept. Because you realize there are laws in the universe that can be changed or moved in a certain way by understanding the details. So to make it simple for you, it's something like this. This is the law of gravity. If I want to change its course, I have to understand gravity, don't I? So that means I have to study physics, mechanical engineering, whatever, because those gives you the principles that allow you to harness gravity rather than be a victim to it. Same thing with law of karma. There's this thing called the law of karma, and there are certain sciences that allow you to harness the law of karma rather than be a victim to it. It's called the golden. Do not understand this intellectually. Internalize it and look at your life, which parts of your life you can change. Because if you don't, we just wasted our night. Study without action is useless. You realize that? So you think about it. Okay, what are the things I like in my life? What are the areas I don't like? Then you start making changes. Use the techniques and the teachings you've learned. So those seeds contain the baseline information that you come in. From there, every thought, every action you did, you are changing it. That's why I always like using that story of that person who's supposed to be dead in 30 days because he was able to change it using the law of karma. In our daughter's case, she was, I remember, 4 years old, she was diagnosed with autism. She had the mental capability of a 1.5 year old. Imagine. So Messages scanned her, did the healing, and he shared something that was very, very important. He said, he said, in addition to everything you're doing, you have to delegate. He told me you have to delegate 30% of any good karma you generate when you teach and you heal towards your daughter. So being a parent, what would you say? No, I'll say I give everything, right? He goes like this, no, 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 follow simple instruction. I said 30% because you need 70% to move pranic healing forward. Now here's the fun part. We were walking and there was a clairvoyant next to us and he told the clairvoyant, look at the child's brain energetically. Then he told me, okay, make the decree. So I said, I decree that 30% of the any healing, any good karma from healing, teaching will go towards our daughter's healing. And Messenger asked the clairvoyant, what do you see? She goes, I see the brain glowing. Okay? Now, being an engineer, I thought, why was it glowing? Don't get impressed easy. Why is it glowing? Anytime the aura is glowing, that means it's absorbing prana. So I thought about it. Wait, how come when I made the decree, the brain started absorbing light, absorbing prana? So apparently, and obviously, she did not have the good karma on her own to be able to draw that much energy to make the brain heal. Got it? By giving her additional good karma, it was enough to karmically entitle her to heal so the brain starts absorbing energy. Now, people without this priceless knowledge, they just give up. Okay, whatever happens, happens. But if you're willing to say, nope, I won't accept it, you'll find ways to fix it. Make a long story short, in less than 6 years' time, the doctor diagnosed her. She's completely cured. She just graduated. She just graduated 2 weeks ago. Okay? High school? You have high school, right? Okay, after elementary or primary school, high school. She graduated, I think, at the third or fifth of her class. She has lots of friends. Yeah, she's going to go to a university that it's not that easy to get in. Guru's blessing. So, in addition to the healing, she does whatever therapy she needs to do, speech therapy, this and that, healing. Every time I do healing or I teach, I give 30% of good karma. All of these things, you throw everything at it to make it work. You getting what I'm saying? So the teachings that you're getting does alter destiny. What did I say? If you practice a teaching, it does alter destiny. In plain English, it alters your karma. So the information, those three seeds can change. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking because I thought of it. Oh, no problem. Instead of doing all this stuff, I'll just use electric mallet, go in and clean the seeds. Don't bother. It doesn't work. I tried. I tried going, let me go into that physical seed, remove that old karma. Nonsense. You're going to have people coming to you, you pay me this much money, I'll change your karma. Yep, you become poorer. I should be surprised. There are people like that. You pay me this much money, I'll take away this negative karma. The best they can do is remove the negative energy. The student has to learn their own lessons. Sure? Okay, last question, we're out of here. Go what? I have no clue what you're talking about. What do you mean? You have to clarify your question, otherwise I don't know what I'm answering. Finish? Okay, I like those. I don't have to do anything. Yes, I have no clue what you're asking. Okay. Okay. Cord cutting. It's called releasing the energy. Defined formally. Okay. Are you asking why it's not formally in the class, or are you asking me the importance of it and why it should or should not be there? No idea. Next question. Because it's part of the class. Like for us, he would say, oh, okay, there's negative chord, cut it. I okay. Can I give you my opinion? It's just my opinion. People are making too big of a deal of it. It's just cut, done. Okay, you have some negative chords, cut, done. In psychic self-defense, you're taught how to clip, cut, connect. Okay, done. But some people, in order to look important, they have to make it dramatized. I mean, that's my opinion. Huh? Don't get me wrong. I hope I didn't offend you because that's my opinion. Okay, okay, last question. I will repeat the question for the back if you can't hear. Just yell it. Just say it. That means it's not enough. Or the lesson has not been learned. Or the lesson has not been learned. Okay? Okay. It's something like this. Have a seat. Okay, did you understand her question? I didn't. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Okay, first of all, it's something like this. Even the best clairvoyant cannot tell you exactly how much good or bad karma you have. They can have just basically some idea. If somebody claims to be that good, there must be already an ascended teacher or already an avatar. I'm not kidding. Okay? So that's part one. Number two, when something is still happening and you're still doing tithing, you're giving money to charity, you're doing healing, you're generating good karma, and still going on, there's only two reasons it's going on. One, the good karma is not enough to pay for that spiritual debt. And number two, the lesson has not yet been learned. That's why part of it, when something is happening, you have to think, okay, what is the lesson that I'm supposed to learn with this? That's part one. And then you don't just wait. You go, okay, well, I'm learning this. Let me start give money to charity or do some healing. So, as they say, by the fruits you know the seed. So the way my teacher taught it in classes, I'll just super simplify. If it's some form of physical ailment, it's due to some form of physical harm done in the past. So the solution is practice harmlessness, become vegetarian, do more healing, give money to charity with people with a similar ailment. Make sense? Relationship problem due to emotional harm and non-forgiving. When you don't forgive, that means what happens? You're not really restoring relationship with another person. So karmically, people will not want to forgive you, so thereby your relationship will not improve. Who understood that? Financially. Financial problem is due to some form of financial harm towards other people, either through stealing or other things. You go, well, I'm the most honest person in the world. Well, the karma goes with the soul, not with the body. You could be the most honest, best person and never break a single karmic rule in this life, but you don't know what you did before. But the key is to say, okay, a financial issue, maybe I did this in the past, maybe I stole, maybe I caused somebody to lose money. So in this lifetime, I'll be especially conscious to make sure that nobody gets financially hurt. I don't even take the towel from the hotel. Or when I'm working at the company, the pen that is given to us to work with, I'm not going to take 20 of them and give it to my children. That's stealing. But you say it's only how many rupees each. There's a saying, what a person does with small things is an indication of what they'll do with big things. So if you try to really learn the lesson that way, and in addition to give money to charity, you are speeding up the process of getting to that break point where the positive karma neutralizes the negative one. Am I making sense? I think I lost you. I know I speak fast, but a lot of you know Sriram. He speaks faster than me. So that's yourself now. She's asking about group karma. This group karma is very, very complicated because unless you can see objectively, when you're inside, it's almost impossible to tell. Because if you're inside it, let's say in a family, it's easy to just blame that person. Everything's improving except this guy's doing this. It's not that clear cut. So I wouldn't even mess with group karma unless you really know. For example, one of the family members is a drug dealer. One of the family members is mafia hitman. You know what I mean? Those things are very difficult. Instead of thinking about other people's karma, think about your own. Otherwise, he says, oh, I'm the nicest, cleanest person. Must be him. You get my point? So anyway, thank you.